I've mentioned many times on this show how much I love sports. There's a lot of intellectual complexity to each game, from offensive and defensive strategies to one-on-one battles between linemen or low post players or pitchers versus batters. If you care to go super deep into the sport's braininess, you can get into high-level stats and analytics. But at the heart of it, I just like seeing ball go through hoop. I like seeing people hit other people. I like to scream and yell because points. I like to feel happy because team from my town won, even if team made up of players not from my town. The Dallas Stars hockey team have more players from Finland than they have Americans. The current Dallas Mavericks basketball team has a Slovenian, a German, an Australian, a Frenchman, a Latvian, and a Canadian, and there are only 12 people on an active roster. I love it when disparate people come together to fight for a common goal. That a kid from Ljubljana is now the face of my basketball team in Dallas. He's Dallas through and through, despite the fact that his accent is nothing like the F-150 driving folks I grew up around. At its heart, sports are real simple, borderline stupid, but you know what? They're fucking fun to watch. And I know it leads to fights and hooligans in England. I know it leads to college kids in America flipping over cars after a national championship, but most of the time, it's just you and a bunch of people you'd never give a shit about standing in a bar screaming that we want those shitty Astros from Houston to eat a dick. This is the joy of any kind of Space Invader movie. The world sets aside their differences to join a single team to fight these motherfucking aliens. Independence Day is our most notable example of this, but don't sleep on the low 80s TV miniseries V. Holy shit, this show is low brow and I love it. The special effects are cheap, the characters are pulled straight from a filing cabinet drawer that's labeled archetypes, and the plot is rapid fire silliness. But you know what? I was standing up cheering nearly the whole time. Put this shit straight into my veins, just shouting defense, defense. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Which sci-fi action stereotype are you? Like scientist? Are you the turncoat? Are you the military command? Are you the main character? Are you the space alien double agent?
I'm the lone traveler on a life raft way out in the outreaches of space that you don't know how they got there, and you don't know if he probably killed all of his crew or it was totally accidental, but it takes a while for him to unravel.
Oh, so when they find you, you're under suspicion because they're like,
yes.
Wait, I think he might have killed his crew.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I'm the
like,
final survivor.
It was the other that we all fell into the sun, and I was the only one who made it for some reason.
I'm the computer hacker that uploads the file to
the one that's
mothership.
Like, just like moving shit around in Marvel movies with your fingers.
Yeah,
like, I can reconnect this thing. But are you like, you said you're the computer hacker, but are you like what, like connecting wires kind of engineering? Or
no, I'm the one who can read all the blinking digits on the screen and go like, they're communicating with us.
The comms. You're working the comms.
I'm working the comms. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
I also know how to, like, I can break into their mainframe. I figured it out.
Oh man, that is amazing.
So I was just telling you right before we started the show that, I keep an outline when I do these just so I know that I'm going in order. And this outline it has more words in it than a Night Vale episode, just the outline, because so much happens. Like every line of this movie is either character beat or plot beat, moving the shit forward at the most rapid pace possible.
Because it's a soap opera.
Yeah.
It is a soap opera. It is a nighttime soap opera.
Yeah.
And listen, soap operas do nothing. If they do nothing else, it is move quickly.
Yeah.
Don't hang on to most characters because you might not see them again.
We have so many great movies like The Visitor and The Sentinel that we've covered on the show that are the height of 70s camp, right? Like camp and silliness. And it's nice to, like, we've hit some 80s, silliness, definitely, like Chopping Mall.
Sure.
was a great one.
Yeah.
But like to really get into 80s like soap opera silliness, this is kind of our first landing point here. It's because it is horror in the sense that sci-fi alien invasion is horror. There's scary stuff.
Oh yeah.
Creepy shit in this show, but it's not like Chopping Mall or Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, stuff like that.
No, but it's definitely, I would say, and this also has the horror of the aliens
Yeah.
being, spoiler, they're lizard people.
Mhm.
And the action of like the A-Team, G.I. Joe, like that was so popular in the 80s. The like freedom fighters across America, USA all the way. Like that was so big.
A-
Um,
And the other
and yeah,
horror, yeah, and the other horror of it is it's World War II Nazi camp horror, right? Like
yes,
it's who's gonna turn you in, like which
yeah.
humans have turned on you and who's reporting whom. Someone talked, you
Who's
know.
in the youth? Who's in the youth visitor club?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I would like to. Now, I would like to point out your intro is a little misguided.
Yeah.
You said cheap special effects, Jeffrey, and I looked it up. These special effects were not cheap in 1983 dollars. 1983 dollars. Every single time one of their alien lasers went pew pew pew, that cost $1,000 per laser shot. So
Wow.
for the time, now there's another bit of information. This TV show was wildly popular. This got a 40% share, a 40% share watch
Amazing.
on NBC in
And that means
1983.
a share is, if I remember correctly about my media studies classes, that a
Oh God,
share
Lord, I don't know.
was of televisions on,
Yes,
40% were watching this.
40% were watching this of the like
Amazing.
sampled television that like this is like almost half the country
Yeah.
watched this 2-part miniseries when it came on. Me and my brother were two of them because I told my brother we're watching this movie. Because I sent him notes for the art and just whatever, just like, oh my God, look at this crazy thing. And he said he specifically remembers being at our grandmother's house watching this. And I think that's the only reason, because I was too young. He was way, way too young. But I think we're at grandma's house. So grandma had passed the fuck out in the back, and we were on kids' holiday watching this stuff that, like 6-year-olds probably should, it's a little borderline risque, some questionable parenting there.
Sure.
That's
Well,
what grandparents are for, though.
oh, so good. Yeah, I watched a lot of. I was just thinking, because I was texting with a friend of mine earlier who is a couple years older than me, and she didn't remember this show coming on. And but it has all of the beats of the shows that my friend Bridget and I were talking about, which are things like Fantasy Island,
Okay.
Dallas,
Yes.
Knots Landing, Love Boat,
Yep.
these
Yep.
types of shows.
Love Boat.
And this miniseries opens with the same thing that a lot of these 80s primetime soaps open with, which is character intros. And we saw this in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place,
I
which is the
know.
live action shot quick clip of the character
The
kind of looking up.
players.
Yes, here are
Oh
the
my
players.
God, it's the best. It's the best.
I had my hands, the fists up to my chin, clapping them,
Like, because we
squeeing.
really don't do that anymore. It's like such a, you know why? Because it's a holdover from the theater world.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we watched Bad Seed?
Yes.
And they did almost the exact same thing, except at the end, like a theater curtain call. I think when soap opera, but like that sort of 70s, 80s soap operas, they did that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the intro, starring
Uh-huh.
so-and-so as so-and-so.
And then
And
also
they would slowly
starring.
turn to the camera. Their hair would be all huge and shit. Or they'd like pull off their glasses and cock an eyebrow.
Yep. Totally. The hero of this movie, like the main, leading
The costume
action.
designer.
Yeah, the costume designer, the hair.
The hair. Oh my God.
Yeah,
The hair
is great.
On fire. Not literally on fire. It's huge.
To me, the top billed person in this
Yes.
is Mark Singer, who plays Mike Donovan, who's our action star. But I will say the star of this movie or this show through and through is Faye Grant as Juliet Parrish. Only because every time I see her, I'm like, you are in a 1960s movie. Like her hair, everything about her, just her essence, like the name Faye Grant. Every time I saw her, I expected just her to be in black and white while everyone else was in color. Her acting style, everything about her. I'm like, you're amazing. You're just doing your own thing, and I love it.
Well, I gotta say, Jade Badler as Diana.
Oh, of course.
The muskrat eating visitor scientist is like, that's like the definition of camp.
Yes.
Because she is so like, literally there's one point where she is on the screen on TV, like on international television, and she's just staring down the camera like, I'm gonna fucking kill every fucking one of you. Like, she has got baddie written all over her, and I love it.
Yes.
Bad Girls
Also,
Club.
this movie, I'll probably keep calling it a movie because it's a miniseries. It's a 3.5-hour film, basically. This show also features 1 year before Nightmare on Elm Street came out, Robert Englund as like bumbling, goofy Willie the alien.
Yeah.
And it took me a long while to figure out. I'm like, I know that man. How do I know him? I wasn't paying close enough attention in the opening credits, apparently. So,
well, no, he's like pretty far down the list.
Yeah, he is pretty low down the list. He's like cute. Like, there's like a cutesy romantic play between him and the Harmony, the food cart the food truck
lady.
worker.
I know. Now, Jeffrey, you're gonna have to help me with the names, because like a soap opera, this has a bajillion characters, and it's like the early 80s. They're all called like Tommy and Brian and Robert and and you know, Daniel and Robin and I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of all over the map.
We'll get through it together.
Well, we will. So this show opens with, besides the credits, it has a title card that says, to the heroism of the resistance fighters, past, present, and future, this work is respectfully dedicated.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. And like bar none?
Sure. Like, are we differentiating on who's a resistance fighter?
Yeah, like throughout past, present, future.
Because you know, I think we have to differentiate on which ones are the ones we're dedicating it to. Like, the beer hall putsch was kind of a resistance fight, right?
I was like, there's some native caretakers of the land that would definitely take some umbrage up in there. They're like, yeah, well, I think we were here first. Anyway.
Yeah. So it also opens in the El Salvadoran, basically the Civil War in El Salvador that ran from the 70s through the 80s. Like, it was
did the United States fund that one? Did we fund that one?
I wish I could tell you. All I know is it was real fucking intense, like military junta sort of shit. And what we have is Mike, and who is a cameraman, our lead character Mike Donovan,
who looks very much looks very much like Kevin Bacon.
He does. In fact, when I was staring at him for a while, I thought he was MacGyver, but that's a different guy.
Also looks very much like MacGyver.
Very MacGyver looking, yeah.
There is a lot borrowed from MacGyver in this, or a lot maybe is incubating in V that will later, you know, come to fruition. A lot of the tuck and roll that Mike and Tony get into and their shenanigans.
Yep.
A lot of like, oh, we gotta like walkie talkie. Anyway, it's so dumb. Anyway,
Tony is great. Tony, who is played by Evan Kim. This is very 80s. We talked about this with Gremlins. Like, there's a thing with like, let's get there is for an 80s, early 80s show, there is a very diverse cast.
It is
for an 80s show. Like, our lead characters are primarily white people. However, Tony as a Korean man is really great. Like, he's really, really interesting. So they're journalists, like they're television journalists. They are in El Salvador covering the Civil War. There's like helicopter fights, and they're trying to get free from all of this. And you know, it's action scenes galore. And the chopper has Mike cornered, and suddenly it flies away, and he looks behind him, and there's a giant alien spaceship 3 miles wide, as we are told.
3 miles wide.
Yep.
That's it. Well, there's another t-shirt for us that says 3 miles wide. And it looks exactly like a spaceship. Like, I gotta say, really, they went full flying saucer.
Yeah,
like
full flying saucer.
The day the Earth stood still, classic Heinlein flying saucer on this one.
And God bless HDTV, because without it, I think if you were on an old CRT watching this live in 1983, I don't think you would really get to see all of the cut marks around the flying saucer.
Yeah, the mat. Right?
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
But now we're watching it like high def. We're like, that is not real.
So
Also,
this is
but this action sequence is so A-Team. Like
it's
it is
very 18.
pow, 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 helicopter. Like this helicopter chases down this car down a river road, and we are here for all of it.
Yeah.
So we get the impression that, this guy Mike and Tony, they're like, they're very good at staying alive.
War correspondents. Like we get the sense they mention having done stuff in Cambodia as well. And so there's definitely a sense that these folks have covered war. They're smart. They're able with a gun, which will come in handy later for Mike.
Oh, yes.
And then, so like I said a minute ago, this show is a constant flutter of character intros, plot intros, expositions, and they don't stay long on any scene. It's not until part 2 where it starts slowing down a bit and really settling into a scene for a while. But this part 1, like I'm just on half a page, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different scenes in my outline just on half a page, and they're all quick. Like it's people doing their
3
jobs.
sentences quick.
Yeah, there's a scene of, like, for example, I won't go into all of them, but for example, there's an archaeologist dusting a skull,
dirty archaeologist,
and one of them says, "Gently, Robert, she's a lovely creature." And the other one starts to speak, but they're interrupted, and they say, "What's that?" And it's another ship floating above whatever Iranian
dig site,
cliffside they're in.
I love that shot, actually, with like it's because it's like it's a sort of pre-human skull next to the alien, as in like like this, like our, like the most human of human versus the most alien of alien.
Yes. And meanwhile, everyone is kind of they're out in the world seeing these ships arrive. They're also learning about it on television. A lot of this show is really interesting because the beginning part is people sitting by a TV, getting the news, watching TV.
Kind of like Rabid. Do you remember there was a lot of that in Rabid last week?
You're right.
Like a lot of the, like, getting, like, when the breaking news really was like, everybody shut up and sit down, breaking news.
Yeah. So in the process, I guess maybe we can do a few. Let's intro characters as they kind of happen in importance. We won't do a list
clusters. They come in clusters.
So we just met Tony and Mike, and Mike's going to be kind of our central character. Tony's his best buddy of all time. And now we also meet Julie, or Juliet. She is a pre-med student, and she is working at the hospital, and she's working with some other scientists on some lab rats and developing something, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, as soon as the visitors arrived, all of their animals in the sciencey halls all went bananas.
Yeah, they went ape shit.
Probably a warning. Just saying.
She's also got this shitty stockbroker boyfriend who just kind of disappears halfway through. There's never really a breakup, but you sort of know they're doomed from the get-go because
he is literally Mr. Ambivalent.
He's absolutely, he's Patrick Bateman without the killing people.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he's just gross and skeezy, and all he kind of cares about is where are the stock prices at.
Oh my god. But he has brown Lego helmet hair. Yeah, like detachable 80s helmet hair.
Yeah,
that's about it. That's about all we get from him.
We've also got we should talk about the Maxwell family of we've got Mr. and Mrs. Maxwell, and then they've got 3 kids. The main one is Robin, their teenage daughter, like 17 years oldish.
16. Who 16. I think is the girl. I think she's the girl from Poltergeist. She plays the teenage girl in Poltergeist, I think.
Oh, yeah. Wait. No. Dominic Dunn played the girl from Poltergeist.
Oh, that's right.
And Dominic Dunn was cast to play this role. Dominic Dunn was, I believe, murdered.
That was it. And she was murdered
by her boyfriend. Yeah.
Like literally while rehearsing lines. I know this is all from like the IMDb Wikipedia page.
Yeah. So
gotcha.
So this actor, whose name escapes me. Her name is Blair Tefkin. Yeah, Blair Tefkin. Filled in. So Blair is so Robin is like kind of, she's like just caught up in a very teenage girl, like a teenage kid, like just caught up in herself. And there's And then their younger daughter, Polly, they have like a toddler, but she didn't
Yeah.
do shit.
Yeah.
Polly is actually, I take it back. Juliet is not the star of this movie. Polly is, because
Polly is pretty dope.
Polly's like, I want to fight. Let's do
She's
this
like,
shit.
let's do this. Like she almost like does the like Karate Kid, like tie the bandana around her head and like tighten it real quick and be like, let's kick ass.
Yeah, I don't want to watch any more of this show unless Polly is prominently featured.
That's right.
As like the main character. So,
let's see what else. There's the family. Then there's the family next door.
We have the Rubensteins.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a Jewish family, and you sort of know they're Jewish before we ever hear their names or them say. They don't even ever say Jewish, but like before you even hear Rubenstein or whatever, you know they're Jewish because you have grandfather,
yes,
son with his wife and their teenage son Danny, and as the aliens start getting in, and the aliens are like, well, we want to have a human registered whatever, and the dad is like, that sounds reasonable, and the grandfather's like, absolutely not.
Fucking Grandpa Abraham. I want to be like Grandpa. One, he has a German accent, so like even before, like we're like, yes, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
because this is a time when that was like within a generation. It was, you know, within one generation.
Yeah, he's 40 years removed from World War II still going on.
Yeah.
So Danny is
and so Danny.
Danny has this crush on Robin. Robin's like, I hope I get laid before we die in alien invasion.
She just wants to smooch.
She does, and she doesn't want to. Danny's been friend zoned because Danny, like, he's like, really? Puts his arm around her. She's like, yeah, totally. Anyways, I'm going inside. Good to see you, Danny. Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Danny also has a bit of a drinking problem throughout this film.
I had some questions about how old Danny and Robin are, because Danny,
I was like, is your son just drinking straight out of that JB bottle?
Yeah, like, he's drinking J&B like it's vitamin water, like on a hot run. And she, as we will find in part 2, gets deliberately impregnated. And I'm like, are we dealing with teen pregnancy? What is happening? Okay.
Now, what is the name of Mike's? You remember TV Mike?
Yeah.
His current girlfriend, who
Christine.
Then becomes Christine. That's it. Because Christine, I quite like Christine in the beginning. I wish that they had developed this character a little more, because she becomes the mouthpiece for the visitors.
Yes. And this becomes a rift. Like, obviously, Christine and Mike are both very hot people.
Yeah.
They previously had a relationship, but they kind of both ghosted each other and kind of both blame each other for not calling each other back. But they get back together after being assigned to this like reporter pool to cover the alien entry to the UN. And she quickly compromises journalistic ethics by being invited to be their spokesperson. She's like, no, Mike, it's a great job. And he's like, yeah, but that's a little bit like being Trump's press secretary.
She says, I'll get a book deal out of it at least. And I was like, yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
then there's also Mike's ex-wife and her family.
Yes.
Which is important because like Mike's relationship with his ex-wife and with his kids is kind of this back and forth thing.
Yes. Yeah, because he's got his ex-wife has a new partner, and they have she has custody of their son Sean, I think is his name. Okay, so we'll get into some more characters later because there's so many, but basically the aliens land, they greet the Secretary General of the UN. We find out that the aliens can speak all languages, blah 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 blah. They there's a moment when the aliens land and we see them for the first time on television, and they all step out, and it's this kind of like old, middle-aged white guy steps out as the representative John.
Supreme Leader John.
And meanwhile, back at the hospital lab with Juliet, her shitty boyfriend, stockbroker boyfriend, and her colleague, Ben, who is a black man.
Yes.
And what happens is the medical people are all watching the television, and as John emerges, Denny, the douchebag stockbroker, looks at him and he's like, they kind of look like all of us, don't they, Ben? And Ben was like, uh-huh.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
If I was Irish.
Yeah.
Also, this introduction, it's just so silly.
We come and take me to your leader.
One.
We got take me to your leader, which
take
is
me to your leader.
And we come in peace.
We come in like it's when they're like, you know, and you know, someone's like, and I'm getting word right now that was Swedish that they were speaking. We do not have a translation on what it said. Oh, it says we come in peace. Please step inside the vehicle. And this man, the leader of the UN, fucking steps inside the smaller craft down from the big craft of the big pie plate spaceship that they all fucking live in or something. I don't know.
The Fiesta where in the sky. Yeah.
Oh my God, the Fiesta where in the sky for real. But he steps in alone. I was like, protocol, like immediately. Like, no, you step outside, Supreme Leader John, because no sooner does this Swedish man go inside, and it's like 1, 2, 3, and he comes out and he's all like smiley and happy. He's like, hey, you guys, everything is great. I'm like, that's not the UN leader. Clearly.
No.
Clearly.
No, we're dealing with replicants, y'all. No, you step inside my office is how this works. You're the visitor here. I don't go to you don't drive to my house and then ask me to come to your house. You drive to my house, you come in my house.
That's right. I'm calling you out.
Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
It unravels so quickly, though.
I love it when he steps into, they show a shot of all of these characters watching their televisions, and they all are like smiling, like, this is such a big day for the world. And they all say good luck to the Swedish Secretary General. My favorite was the old lady. I forget her name. It's not Ruby. There's another old lady in it.
Oh yeah,
Eleanor.
The Molotov cocktail.
Yeah. I think it's Eleanor. Anyways, but she just does a thumbs up at the TV and she goes, "Good luck." Good
luck, humans. I hope we don't fuck it up.
So fucking corny. We also, this is where we meet. We meet Diana. Oh no, I'm sorry. Right after this, we'll meet Diana, because what the aliens want is, they say there's some resources like chemicals, gases, and things that we cannot produce anymore because of a crisis on our planet. But we just need your help. We would love to use your refineries and things like that, and we'll work across the globe. And everyone's like, all right, sure. Yeah, come to our Los Angeles oil refinery and take our oil, because America's real fucking good about, yeah, you can just have our oil.
Sure. Yeah, here you go. Yeah. And in exchange, they are going to share their scientific knowledge that allows them to fly through space, theoretically.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, this is the worst pitch of all time. This is where I was pausing it. I was like, wait one moment. Hold up. Wait. Can we go back to what happened that you need? Why do you need us to make your fucking mineral water, or whatever it's actually water? But but this is the pitch. I was listening to just the pitch, like the party line, let's say. And I have some questions. Why do you need us to make these things? Why can't you make them on your home planet? And you said there was some sort of environmental disaster. What can we talk about what that environmental disaster was and why it occurred?
I need more information. It's really it. I would love more details on this trade proposal.
This is, I know, right? Yeah. This is a negotiation. This is not a yes/no thing.
No.
Here.
So, so they're gonna go to this LA refinery, and now it's this big joyous day. There's the local whatever, the local whatever Culver City marching band playing the John Williams theme from Star Wars.
But it's like just like half a pitch off, like every good high school marching band.
Remember when
and I couldn't tell this because I was like, no, they definitely got the rights for this music. No, maybe they didn't. Maybe they just playing it so out of tune. It's actually now officially different music.
That John Williams would never notice that was his music.
Like, what the? I need to call my lawyer. No, this is absolutely the theme from Star Wars. And it also ends with the Darth Vader march as super tall, like number one. Let's call him number one.
Yeah.
I don't know. His name is like Steve, because everybody's called like Steve, Rick, or Bob.
Yeah, I think this is Steven.
Diane,
yeah, I believe this is Steven. And then this is where, you know, Christine is not quite the ambassador for the aliens yet, but she, or the mouthpiece, but she is reporting, and she's like, "Oh, look, there's Diana." And we see Diana for the first time looking so fucking fierce. Her dark hair and just glowing, piercing eyes, and just so badass. And also, the other thing that's happening is just wave after wave of visitors in these red space alien jumps, like
you mean
the Star Trek extras.
You mean the Captain EO Michael Jackson experience at Epcot Center?
They are Captain EO outfits, just red instead of silver, right?
That's exactly what it is. With like the big, oh my God, I'm obsessed with these glasses. Listen, if you ever see a pair of these old school plastic sunglasses that are like shaped with like the slats, like they don't actually have glass in them, they just like obscure your vision by like
so 80s
30%,
yeah,
or whatever. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, they're so dope. Yeah, these are like kind of some of their sunglasses that they wear too are kind of like your grandparents, like wraparound sunglasses, the kind that like you might get after you get your eyes dilated, the big hunky plastic ones
when you go down to Boca.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also what Magnum PI would wear.
Yeah, but they're just flooding in. More and more of these workers are coming into this refinery, and all the workers are like, wait, how many of them are there? Jesus fucking Christ.
Which is kind of funny because like their transport ships do it has a clown car sort of effect.
Yes. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
They're also carrying these huge octagonal containers, which we have no fucking clue what they're for, but apparently a lot of the sets built for this, because it was built, this was an expensive endeavor for television. Like this was a big deal. A lot of it ends up recycled on Star Trek The Next Generation over the decades. Like a lot of the set, those octagonal things, especially the sets, the props, a lot of it gets seen on in the background of Star Trek.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad. I'm glad we have more use for all this space equipment. Okay, so we have our first disappearance. There's one older guy that I don't even know
security.
Yeah, something like that for the plant. And what we see right before he gets disappeared is like he is kind of suspicious of these visitors. He's got like a file on them, and he gets in his car, and then suddenly there's a visitor in the backseat that's like zap.
It's very Halloween 3, you know?
Oh yeah, just person in the backseat, like zap.
Yeah, and it's like, and sort of like Automaton Town, you know?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Do not question leader.
Yep.
I heard you were asking questions. Please come with me. Never heard from again.
This is also where we learn about they're establishing Visitors Friends, which is a new youth organization for like 14 to 22-year-olds to learn more about the visitors and get leadership roles within their community.
The son of the meadow is headed the fun in the forest runs free. Tomorrow belongs to me. This is something from the Wikipedia page, or the IMDb page. The visitor's symbol is a deconstructed swastika. Didn't catch that. Had to read that one.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, it's the same type of like, if you drew the first part of the jagged S, and then instead of drawing the crisscrossing one, you just do two dots on either side. Yep. Yeah, the Nazi overtake of Europe is in real life runs through this script. Is what kind of the basis of this is. Um, so so we have our first disappearance. We also meet hold on, let me back up. I need a quick second to burn through all of these things. Um it's okay. So Mike is I think it's Mike or some other factory worker is the first to kind of
Yeah,
discover it, and we see this man's car who's been missing. No one's seen him for
sure.
a day or so, and his car's just out front. And inside the car, he steps in the car, and it's just like burned, like ashy burn mark on the door handle.
Natural
Okay,
causes.
natural causes. So we also meet Willie. This is Freddy Krueger. This is Robert Englund, who's like this
Oh,
bumbling, awkward. He was supposed to be sent to whatever port in Saudi Arabia or something, like somewhere in the Middle
so he
East.
didn't get the English language training he needed.
No, but I
Oh
would like to hear Robert
no.
Englund speaking like Farsi
I know,
or
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So he he's so bumbling, he keeps saying, I am just, and everyone's like, you're just what? And it's a ongoing who's on first
I'm
routine.
just.
Yeah. And then we realize it's Harmony, the food truck lady, who realizes he means lost.
Yes.
So he's supposed to be going to the cryogenics center. I'm like, what do we have a cryogenics lab at the oil refinery
Right?
for?
What are you trying to deep freeze over here?
But meanwhile, there's an accident at the cryogenic thing, and
Yes.
we get our first like real horror scene where like some worker bursts out screaming, holding his arm, but his arm is gone. It's just
And
a
he like
bloody
knocks it.
stump.
He like knocks it into the railing, and we see it like shatter.
Yeah,
That's pretty, which is like intense for
yeah,
primetime TV.
very. And meanwhile, Caleb, who we will learn later is the father of Ben and kind of
Elias.
street, and Elias, kind of Ben is the doctor, the successful son, and Elias is the no good Nick who runs with gangs and is
Because there's literally only one black family in all of Los Angeles.
that's right. There's the one
Is
black
what I've heard.
family, and they had two stereotype sons of
Yes,
just
they
a
have.
black
Yep.
exceptionalism or
Black Cain, Black Abel.
yeah,
This is
that's
what we
it.
get.
So Caleb is trapped in there too, but Willie runs in and saves him. And he becomes kind of he selflessly becomes kind of a hero of sorts to a few people around because he saved Caleb's life. But nobody is really questioning until much later, like, wait, he can survive that
I
minus 30
know.
below, this Willie guy? Fuck.
And also like he was all, Robert Englund in that makeup. Like he's in deep freeze makeup, and then the next day he's totally fine.
Yeah.
Huh, that's weird.
Interesting.
What are you guys made of? Is a question that the medical plot line is trying to figure out.
Yeah. Let's take a quick detour. This has nothing to do with the plot, but this scene, just the writing in the scene is so ridiculous. It's when Mike goes to visit his son, so he goes to his
Oh,
ex-wife's house. Of
yes.
course, his son
this is the one on
Sean.
the porch
Yeah,
where he like gives his kid the key, the visitor key.
yeah, he got a visitor key after being invited on board. He also his son and his friend Josh have the action figure sets of the visitors, so they've got
They're pro visitor.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the Star Wars action figures, right?
Totally.
And his ex-wife, who I'm sure we get a name for, but I don't remember it, but she looks so annoyed. And I'm expecting her to say, when he's like, what's your problem? Why are you acting so mad? I'm expecting her to say, like, you're never around. Like, we have an agreement for this. You don't he's always asking about you and you're never here. Like, these are the things reasonable human say. And she goes, it's hard to compete with somebody who flies around in spaceships. Like, you're just too cool.
And
How can
like,
I
what
compete?
am I supposed to do? And she's like, well, I don't know. Maybe if I just grew wings. And I was like, what the
what has gotten in? You're a psychopath.
Lady,
like, this isn't a real person.
What's her problem? I'd be more concerned with the fact that your child now has a piece of visitor technology that good old cameraman Mike took no pains in figuring out what the fuck it does, and it was like, you know what, here you go, kid, play around with that. Could turn a teacup into a cat. You don't fucking know. Avada Kedavra. I don't fucking know. But here you go, kid. Go play with this. That's what I thought she was going to be mad at. But
Yeah,
apparently
yeah,
she's
totally.
not. She is totally cool with having alien technology in her house.
I'm like, you have some deep-seated insecurities that we do not
Right.
have time on this
Oh,
show to
oh, and
dive
when he's
into.
like, baby, or not baby, because they're ex, but he's like, whatever happened to that dream of you going to college? And I was like, and she says, don't give me that. And I was
Mm,
like, post women's lib home politics was like, this is what my mom and dad were literally going through.
yeah,
And I was like, this is bizarre.
yeah.
No wonder our generation came out kind of wonky.
Through most of this show, I kept thinking about Garth Marenghi's Dark Place when he says, I know
Very
people who
much.
write subtext and they're cowards. and, and this is one
There
of the
is
few
only
scenes that had,
text.
yeah, this is one of the few scenes that has subtext to it that I want to know more about.
Love that. I love that.
They're cowards. So now we have Ruth, who is Mike's mother, and
Huh?
Ruth brings
This is like silver-haired, little bowl cut Molotov cocktail grandma.
no, different lady. This is the one who brings Juliet a skin sample from one of the
Okay.
visitors
Gotcha.
because
Lab tech.
yeah,
Mrs. Lab Tech, who's, oh my God, this whole thing where she
yeah,
is seen in the car.
yeah,
I was like, what is happening?
because she has a crush. Ruth has a crush on one of the other lab people,
That the main doctor,
and it's like, I'm just
but has
hoping to help
never been
out.
able.
Yeah,
But
I've
has
never been able to make it work.
admit it.
Yeah. And she gives Juliet, she's like, I'm gonna get this sample for you. And Juliet's like, oh, you're a hero. It's so lovely. Like, he should be so lucky to have you. And Ruth
Yeah.
smiles and goes inside her house. And as she shuts the door, there's a visitor. Zap!
I know.
So Ruth is gone. Okay. Now we have Robin, who is in love with the youth leader of the visitors, Brian, who's a
Now,
generic
listen,
cutie.
like
blonde
if a
hair kid.
golden retriever were to become a human, who were to become a lizard, who were to become a human, it would look like that guy.
Totally Brian. 100%. You nailed Brian's, not just his visual, but his whole character.
Yeah,
100% his whole
like
character.
he wears Ralph Lauren boxers, like plaid boxers, and he was born in them. He was born in crew socks. Like, it's just like, that's his vibe.
Okay, so now we've got this German-ish, some scientist
Is this a conspiracy?
who
what
at
if there's
the
a
UN
conspiracy within the conspiracy, Jeffrey?
So we've got this like German scientist who's like called on he's at the UN or whatever, and is like, I want to call out an international conspiracy by scientists, by my fellow scientists who I thought were good people. They are now planning to overthrow these motherships. They
tried to recruit me.
And they tried to recruit me, and I'm going to name names. And then
that's it.
And then other scientists whose names he named show up and start naming other names. So it's total McCarthyism, full bore here. Christine at this point is now the speaker, the mouthpiece for the visitors. And now the humans have to register. And this is where Abraham Rubenstein is like,
wait, you got to have a registry card? Oy vey.
Oy vey. And obviously is concerned and disappointed in his grandson, Danny, because Danny, who earlier lost his job because he was stealing from the company till, is like, get off my case, Dad. Like, literally says those words. So Danny,
I love Grandpa Abraham, because Grandpa Abraham still hasn't he hasn't like really said anything against. He's still just very like, I'm a crotchety old man, which I love and respect, because that is my vibe. But he's like, you know what? Sit back and listen. Let everybody else have an opinion, and I will formulate my. And then when he does open his mouth, he's like, no, we're done. We're done here. Yeah, the visitors are Nazis. Time to go. Bye-bye.
Yeah. And Danny's part of the visitor youth, the visitor
Danny.
friends. Well,
I love the like mom and dad having the conversation about how Danny's at that age where he doesn't really know what his personality is yet, or what he's into. Yeah. But he's kind of into anything shitty. It's kind of like, if it's the easy way out, Danny is into it. If it is like like kind of like low class. Danny's probably doing it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, your son is just a shit heel.
Yeah.
But they're really hoping that this visitor youth program puts some backbone into him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and because his parents, particularly his dad, is like everything's fine because he doesn't understand what happened in
No,
Germany, in Berlin in
no.
1933. Okay, so let's talk about Mike getting aboard the spacecraft to the mothership.
This is when he goes up there
He's
legally or illegally?
illegally.
Okay,
He and
the
Tony,
stowaway. Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
stows away, gets up there, and then he is
This whole
realize
sequence is fucking dope. This
so
is when I was like, this is literally the best television that's ever been created. This 30 minutes.
So the first thing we get is he sees all of their tankers full of all of these chemicals and gases they've been producing.
Yeah.
They're just dumping them back out. And so it's a good red herring because we think, oh, are they poisoning us?
No, Jeffrey.
But that's not what's happening.
Jeffrey, they're not only are they doing, that's what they're doing. But this is where this is like the campiest soap opera-ist Dallas TV, because they're literally explaining to each other what they're doing the entire time.
Subtext is for cowards, Cecil.
They're like one visitor technician says to another visitor, they're like, wow, it seems such a waste to be just dumping out all these perfectly good man-made chemicals. I know. Good thing they don't understand why we're really here. Why are we really here? And I was like, what the fuck? This is the most stunted, illogical dialogue, and I'm living for it.
Oh, it's so good. And Diana and Steven are talking. And Diana is like, soon every continent will be under our control because of my process for conversion. And he says, well, your conversion process isn't working as fast as possible. And she's like, of course, it takes some time, but the evidence we've planted on the scientists on Earth will soon have them, imprisoning all the scientists, because if the scientists are still allowed to speak freely, it could overturn all of their intelligence, could overturn what we're doing here. He's like, that's brilliant. Let me eat this fucking mouse. And she's like, great job eating that mouse. Let me unhinge my jaw and eat a guinea pig.
I'm going to unhinge my jaw and eat a guinea pig. And this is the moment where I think everyone in America went, what? And they continued to watch the rest of the show. I also love when he like low-key slut shames her for being like the supreme leader's like favorite. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, I didn't know if your special relationship with the supreme leader would get in the way. I was like, oh, internal drama.
And then we get to the action payoff, which is Mike is filming all of this, and he's up in the air vents, and he's filming a guy basically he's just in the bathroom getting ready to go to bed, and he's got to do basic stuff like he's going to brush his teeth. He's going to take out his human eyeballs.
Yep.
To reveal that he has lizard eyeballs.
Oh, no.
And he turns around, and I guess once he can see the world with his lizard eyes, now he can see Mike clearly.
He just like punches through the wall and grabs Mike.
And now we have a full-on fight. Mike scratches off his human face to reveal lizard face below. It's a wrestling fight, and he's got lizard tongue darting at Mike.
He's got a really long tongue. Terrifying.
And the alarms are going full blast, and Mike makes a run for the spaceship hangar, gets back on another, flies back, delivers the tape to the TV station. This will be the moment we rally Earth behind these villains, and all of the signals go static. And the aliens have taken over broadcast signals. Yeah, it's super spooky, right?
Well, it's when the assistant, who's another woman of color. I was like, there's like four. There's like four people of color in Los Angeles. She's like, no, they've cut off Ma Bell. Like, telephone is down.
Yeah, AT&T is gone.
Like, I was like, that's massive.
Yeah,
that would be like panic mode. Absolutely panic mode.
And they now
also the
have
fact that they can control television as well, to be like, they're like, no, we're just going to turn everything off and then we'll turn it back on and it's only our channel.
Yeah. It's it's crazy. It's they've done the right things to like cut off all of the comms basically to get rid of that communication, so they cannot air this tape. Meanwhile, the visitors show up and are now
Uh-huh.
gunfighting in the TV studio, and Tony throws Mike his videotape, and Mike goes on the run. And now there are photos on this of Mike all over the news because
Yes.
it's all visitor controlled.
I know. I love it when this like, this man is a traitor, and it cuts back to like his ex-wife and the kid. He's like, they're lying.
Uh-huh.
Daddy's not a traitor.
Yeah.
You're like, well, technically he is.
Yep. And then when next time we see Christine reporting on what's happening,
Yeah.
and she keeps referring to the scientists as terrorists.
I know, right?
So we're seeing like fascism at work, right? Like you have to reframe harmless people or helpful people as the evil people, right? Like it's almost like I'm so glad we don't see this anymore. I'm so glad we don't have anyone vilifying like trans people and saying like the problem is people in bathrooms.
Living headlines that's going on right now, we don't see anybody trying to, I don't know, outlaw knowledge.
Nope.
Free exchange of it.
Nope. No librarians have lost their job in years.
No.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's really interesting that, okay, it makes sense that that the visitors are anti-science, because essentially their shell plan, their party line is as flimsy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found kind of like just silly, just beyond, was that they're also kind of targeting certain doctors and people with medical training, because they don't want the human medical doctors getting too close to the visitors and finding out anything about them, because they're like, oh my gosh, somebody blew up one of our stations where we're refining chemicals. Spoiler, it was them. And this dude is just killing people. So we're going to have to not have those talks about what we're made of and why we're here and all that information sharing we're going to do. That's now a one-way street.
Yeah. It's an iron-fisted plan, I guess, to say the least, I suppose. But yeah, it's I feel like there were better ways for the visitors to approach the Earth. But yeah, they went with this one. So, what are we gonna do? So there's a moment where, Danny he's pleased with all this. He's watching this all on television. He's pleased, and his dad comes by and just turns off the TV. He's like, I'm sick of hearing about this. Sick of only hearing their side of things. And Danny looks real mad, and his wife is like, you got to be more careful with what you say, because I've heard stories about kids informing on their parents. And this is while Danny's out of the room, and then he comes back in the room and is just calmly reading the newspaper. They're like, where have you been, Daniel? Just went to the bathroom. That's all. Danny's such a fucking creep. It's so creepy. Okay. The Maxwell family now, because Mr. Maxwell is a scientist.
Archaeologist, yeah. He's
an archaeologist, right? Robert, I think is his name. Anyways, he's the archaeologist. And he's like, we got to get to this mountain compound where they
a group of us are doing illegal science.
Yeah.
Okay, now Jeffrey, it is this point in which I was like, did I literally just do a Night Vale episode about this?
You did, yeah. We just did a thing about people hate science, and
so if you're into the podcast, welcome to Night Vale. This is literally our Did you wait, Jeffrey?
I'd never seen the show. Okay, I had never seen the show.
Wink.
But it's a wink.
I hear what you're saying, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
You absolutely didn't pattern Welcome to Night Vale after V, the miniseries.
That's right. I am not related to Kenneth Johnson at all. Okay, so they're getting out to the mountains. The scene is so great because you've got mother, father, Robin, our teenage
this is the Exodus.
daughter. The Exodus.
Because listen, it's not a good action disaster movie unless there's a oh my god, pandemonium in the streets.
And we got to get out of here. We got to beat
cars.
The rush.
How are we? People. Oh my god, this is one of my favorites. I love the watching suburbia flip its shit.
Yeah,
moment that comes along in action adventure movies.
And Robin is such a tool about this. She's like, no, I want to stay. I met a boy and he's so cute.
Oh, my friends are here. I'm like, all your friends are dead now. Okay.
Yeah. And then Polly is like, yeah, why don't we stay and fight? I fucking love you, Paul. You're the best. So they get to the roadblock, and there's two cops, and these two cops come back. It's bad cop and good cop, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We've got Ray Fiennes and Oscar Schindler, basically. Like they're
Yeah,
both
kind of.
Nazis, but
Yeah.
one is just still feeling a little bit bad about being a Nazi.
Yeah.
And the bad cop, we watch him like gun down a man trying to run.
Yeah. And
And
he's like, crooks are crooks.
yeah. And he says the only thing that's changed is the guys who give the orders. And that's, I think, is an incredible. I highlighted the sentence in my notes because it's an incredible statement of like, yeah, that's what the cops do. That's what the Nazis do. Like, I'm just following orders is the
Like,
line.
there's an infrastructure that's already in place.
Yeah.
So we just impose ourselves and we just take over as the lid of that infrastructure.
Yeah.
But now, listen, I do want to say, like, I kind of love this idea, especially in the second half of like the people of like who's on the inside.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And this show does deal with that, which is, what does it mean? What do you do if you are on the inside? So
Yeah.
good cop, bad cop. Good cop, the only thing he's willing to do is keep doing his job. But he's going to try and subvert it in little ways.
Yeah.
So it's not to make him a hero. It's just to say that like he becomes helpful at times in the show. And then some people like Martin, the visitor, who is trying to essentially stage a coup against his own people by helping Mike.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what do you do from the inside? Also to talk to Elias, the gang member, who he and Ben do not get along. But it's, spoiler, at the end of this episode, the first episode, Ben is going to die, and Elias kind of steps up. And Elias will use these connections he has to the Los Angeles gangs to kind of help clear the street and bring people together.
When they're like, scientist, gang member, we're all human, which means we're all on the same team.
Yep, that's right. Okay. There's this meeting of Juliet brings together a meeting of a bunch of other scientists, doctors and people.
Yeah.
So she has her first meeting, and this is going to be some other enclave of rebel scientists and revolutionaries. And she's talking. I love this. This dialogue is so bitchy and it's so good. It's so campy, because there's a moment where she's talking about how they're arresting scientists and how, listen, and she starts using like a scientific metaphor, and this one dude interrupts, and he's like, Julie, that's lovely in biology, but, and she just goes, listen, Brad is also,
Brad.
this is also a good t-shirt. Listen, Brad.
I also love that Brad is a cop.
Yeah, Brad is a cop. Yeah.
Which I was like, it's kind of interesting watching this, this kind of like ACAB attitude that we have these days. And I was like, yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Everyone's different.
Everyone's different. Well,
everybody has their breaking point. Everybody has the line that they won't cross. Everybody has, and I think that this, like, kind of when shit hits the fan, Alien style, is like a really lovely metaphor to open up. Everybody has like a different, like, I will go this far, but I won't do that.
Yeah, so it asks you to find, and Abraham states this clearly in his basically letter at the end of episode 2, which is that like it's up to you to be able to read your own moral compass. Like you cannot rely on people telling you what is right and wrong. You need to know what's right and wrong, and you need to act on it, and it might endanger your life. It might endanger your relationships. And so the difference between bad cop, who's like, hey, this is our job, we follow orders. He's either never read his moral compass, or his moral compass is evil.
He likes to beat people up, and
he's not even complicit. He's bad. Whereas good cop is complicit, but is trying to, his only comfort zone, he does not want to alienate. He didn't want to lose his job. He doesn't want to put his life at risk or relationships, but he will try and subvert in small ways. Whereas Brad is like, no, fuck it, I'm out. I got to do something revolutionary.
Yeah.
So, Abraham decides to hide the Maxwells in his metaphorical attic.
Oh, Grandpa Abraham. And then, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I mean, so meaningful, but also so misguided.
It is. This is where we get our first powerful speech, and Abraham gives a couple of them both at the end of each episode. So here we're nearing the end of episode 1, and Abraham is wanting to hide the Maxwells, and his son Stanley, that's the dad,
Yep.
the son of Abraham, Stanley is so annoyed because he's like, you're endangering us.
They're on the list, which means we're going to be put on a list.
Yeah, and he says, you don't know that this is really like, it's so overly dramatic, but it's beautiful. Like it's a great soap opera speech, because he's like, we had to put you in a suitcase at 8 months old in Berlin to smuggle you out, and your mother can still see her standing naked in the freezing cold. Her black hair was shaved, and as they marched her off to the showers, and these were the showers that did not have water. So they have to stay here, and we protect them, or else we haven't learned a fucking thing, Stan. Yeah, it's a beautiful speech. It's great. And it's how you reach people about, like, listen, this is what you put up with. We're under attack. You don't get to be safe.
However,
if
you have a Nazi youth living in your home,
right,
this is where he's not going to look out his window, or
you're not going to tell Robin to not go in the main house and flirt with Danny or whatever. To talk to Danny.
Too close to home. Read the room.
This is
your
the
son
problem
to do it, but your grandson is clearly a bad egg, and you either get rid of him so you can then bring in the Jews to shelter them, or you got to find an offsite place for them.
Abraham's best ideas are ethical. They're not they're not procedural. He doesn't have good procedural ideas, but he has brilliant philosophical ideas. But he is the sort of
Socrates of all of this. Is it Socrates? A lot of that, what do we owe the state?
That's
what does the state owe us?
Yeah. Okay, so we've got everyone on the run. Everybody's clearing out of town.
Everybody's being rounded up now. And
everybody's being rounded up. And suddenly the visitors show up at this little secret science headquarters that Juliet's made.
Yeah.
And she's they're on the run, right? And she and the cop Brad are running away in their garbage truck.
Yep.
And she's like, let me out, there's my car, I've got to go back and get Ben. So she goes back, and he's yelling at her like, no, keep going.
They need weapons.
And she's like, but I'm also not going to leave anyone behind. I'm going back for Ben. In the process, Ben gets shot. Julie gets shot in the hip, but she manages to get him to the car and drive away. She takes him because he knows he's dying. See his dad, Caleb. Caleb's not there. Just Elias is there.
Yeah.
And Ben dies in the car in front of Elias and Juliet. And, and this is Elias. Elias kicks over his boombox in anger.
There's some shaky writing happening here. I was like, what is this? Is Lorraine Hansberry, this is not.
No. He's like, but this is not dynamite. This is not jive. But he's not happy about his brother dying. And he's like, the doctor can't die. The loser's son should have died. Like that sort of bit. And then our final scene of the final beat of part 1 is all the propaganda posters of the visitors are your friends, make friends, make community, whatever. And these kids are spray painting mustaches on them. And Abraham shows up and he's like, no, do it right. And what does he spray paint, Cecil?
He spray paints the letter V in red over them all. V for victory.
Oh, I thought it meant visitors because they've been saying visitors. I know, but visitors. I love that. They make
it meant vibranium.
They make you think it stands for visitors because they say visitors nonstop throughout this episode. But no, the V is for victory. And it's not blood like in the logo looks.
It does look bloody.
It's spray paint.
It looks like spray paint.
Yeah. Well, it does once you know. But I love that the graphic design of the V logo looks like blood smeared. And then you realize it's spray paint. Episode 2. Listen, we got to this by first 3 episodes, but these 2 episodes are an hour 45 each. So
it's 3 hours of it's perfect.
And it's the whole miniseries is 2 parts. So here we are.
Yeah.
LA is destroyed, right? We're all
Shit
done.
Has hit the fan.
Yeah. But Mike remembers he gave his son a key. He sees his son's friend Josh, who says, look, they took They took your
Yeah.
ex-wife and my friend Sean and your son, whatever.
Like your ex-wife tried to shelter me, but then
Yeah.
they came in and just pulled the entire family out, and apparently he was hidden. Like, that's some scary shit,
Yeah,
And
it
and of
is.
course Mike, Kevin Bacon is all very like, well, you're safe now, kid.
Yeah.
And then he just, brings him into a group where he's just going to do even more dangerous things.
Right. So, also Danny has announced to his family by serving them champagne for breakfast, because he is an alcoholic, that
Yeah.
he's wants to toast his engagement to Robin Maxwell, and they sort of realize,
They go, what?
They go, what? And she doesn't know about it either. But
As he says, I want her, so I shall have her. And I was like, do you need a giant fluffy white cat you should be stroking right now? Because
Yeah.
that would make the perfect prop for this speech.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jack boots and all.
Yeah. And and he says, I'll get what I want, or I'll turn their whole family in. And Stanley, his dad, pushes Danny in the pool. Danny draws the gun on him. Doesn't fire, but leaves. But by the time and reports them. And
Yes.
when the visitors arrive, the Maxwells are gone. Because Mexican immigrant day worker Sancho has put them in a false bed underneath some lawn
clippings.
Yeah, in his pickup truck, and he's gonna help them escape. And they're like, are you sure this will work? And he says, I've had some experience at this. There's our entire Mexican immigrant story.
Yeah, you're like,
rolled into a single line.
There is one
single
person.
Story.
There's one Latino man in all of Los Angeles.
Famously, Los Angeles has a very small Latino community.
Famously.
So
wait. We're already in part 2, and we have not talked about another one of my favorite characters, which is the kind of like schmoozy, horny, rich lady who's married to the chemical plant engineer processor dude, who her whole job is to like kiss the visitor's ass, because she's about ready to turn the whole family in, because she hears a baby crying coming from out of Sancho's truck.
Right.
And she has some classic, like, just it's very Dallas Dynasty kind of moment.
Right. That is it's not listed on here. Hold on, let me pause for just a second.
Eleanor. I don't know. Like, all the names are so ridiculous.
I thought that was Ruth. I thought that was Mike Donovan's mother, because she's the one who gets shot early because she's sympathetic to the scientists, but then she turns replicant, right? She gets returned in her body as replicant. Remember, because they have a conversion procedure.
Yeah.
And some of the people, like the German scientist who whatever, I think what's happened is they've shot her,
they put her through the
reprogrammed her, pod people sent her back. But they don't do that for everyone. Some people they've just kept in the pods on the ship.
I thought she was always human, because that was her whole thing, is that like when Mike goes to his mother and says, I was taught, like Mike's on the run, and she's given him like Bo is afraid, like next level Jewish mother jujitsu, emotional jujitsu. And he's like, I always taught you to do the right thing. And he's like, yeah, and I am, Mom. I was taught by a woman that I should do the right thing. So maybe you should think about that and stop sucking that guy's dick just because he's in charge of a lot of stuff.
Well, whoever it is, she calls the cops on him anyways. Again, we're not going to get all these characters right. Whatever.
This show is at a breakneck speed.
But she hears the baby crying in the back of the truck and reports Sancho. But they do manage to get through the border crossing, because good cop hears the baby but doesn't say anything to bad cop. And
because he's on the resistance payroll or something.
No, he's just the I'm going to continue being a cop. This is the guy from earlier.
No, because I thought like there's a moment where him and Sancho like kind of have a like.
Oh, definitely. No.
Like a moment where like this is their, like they're clearly smuggling scientists.
No. He is not on the Resistance payroll. This is just good cop. He just remains
Okay.
a cop,
He
but
just looks the other way.
he's only
Okay.
just skirting his job to help people in need, but he's not
Gotcha.
quitting his job. He's not
Gotcha.
joining the Resistance. So, but he gives the nod because on the way back, he doesn't do shit to help.
That is true.
Because
that is
on
true.
the way back, after Sancho has already taken these people to the mountain, not the mountain, the mountain resort, compound, Sancho gets captured by the cops because they find the empty block below his pickup truck.
Whoops.
Whoops is right.
He's like,
okay.
I don't know how that got there.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So now we've got Daniel learns his whole family was taken in by the visitors.
But he's
and it's
feeling
like,
a little sad and lonely.
Well, and he's feeling betrayed. He's like, you promised me amnesty.
Yeah.
Like, you promised that my family would be safe. But then Brian shows up, golden retriever Brian visitor, and says, you know what, they'll be home soon, but you have my word. You have my word that
and
everything will be fine.
A raise.
That's right. And what does he get that also the old lady got for calling in Sancho? Do you remember what he gives them?
A new pair of sunglasses?
No, it's a diamond ring.
Yes. Oh my god.
Which is so confusing.
This is an odd moment because I'm like, wait a minute. Did that boy just give that other boy an engagement ring?
Yeah, I was confused because when Steven gave the older woman, Ruth or whoever that is.
Yeah. It was like
gave her diamond ring.
Hope-sized diamond. It was just a diamond.
And I thought because they'd been together so much that it's like, oh, is he giving her the marriage she wanted or whatever? Like, I don't understand. But then, maybe Brian is trying to marry Daniel. I don't know.
No, I mean, that's what it looks like and it is it is tacky as fuck.
Yep.
Any man tried to, I'd be like, I love the sentiment, baby, but I'm not wearing that on my finger.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like the visitors just went, what do humans like? Humans like sparkly diamonds. So just give them sparkly diamonds. They don't understand the sort of the subtleties of jewelry.
No, it's very true. Okay, so Mike and Tony sneak over to the refinery because they want to get back on the mothership. There's a lot of back and forth with Mike on this fucking spaceship. I do like Tony's version of running interference because he runs up to one of the visitors. And he's like, hey, listen, so my shrimp boat to Korea got a flat tire. It's a very funny line. And Mike pops
is like,
out and kicks
like diver kapow, like literally does like a roundhouse kick right into the dude. And I'm like, how did you know? Okay, you know what? If it worked for Mr. T, it'll work for you. It'll be fine.
Also, there is gunfire in this show, but most of it is laser fire, and I love it.
Pew pew.
It's G.I. Joe. The G.I. Joe cartoon was always like laser fire because, I remember G.I. Joe all the time. Nobody ever got hit in a way that would be deadly. They got hit in the hand, which would knock their gun out of their hand. They'd be like, ow! Oh,
the gun, which literally happens here. They're like, they had 2 rifles, then they had 1 rifle.
Yeah.
But then I think, who's it? Tony gets lizard spit-faced. Like, the dude in fucking Jurassic Park.
Yeah, totally. And Mike gets shot in the chest, which doesn't kill him the way it killed Ben. I'm just not sure what.
Yeah, they say at one point, like, these things they may look like guns, but they kind of behave more like phasers. I think at one point they're like during these 2 guys literally have a scene where they're like, okay, this one controls the intensity, so you can set your phaser to stun, to kill.
Okay, yeah.
To scorch, whatever.
Mike wakes up in the ship in a little cell, and there is hot alien lady Barbara.
Right?
Fucking hell, I love this. Like
she is like swimsuit issue level hot.
Absolutely. And I love this because we're gonna see her stripped down later, and I'm like, we gotta have tatas, you guys. It's the 80s and it's an action movie.
Yeah.
But Diana comes in and it's like, well, Mike Donovan, we finally captured you. It's time for. She says it's time for the final area, and I'm like, oh, the final solution. Yeah.
Is it the final solution?
I know your lingo.
Is it the final countdown to the final solution?
And she brings in Stanley Rubenstein, shows him go into this torture chamber, this horrible looking chair with spikes and
pliers, and there's like
and
a
flames
flame. They're like, what the fuck do you need fire for? They're like, we have many ways to make people talk, Mr. Bond. Now, I love number two. Number two, she gets emotionally jujitsu'd by number two.
By Martin.
Like,
Blondie.
She's like, oh, you're just gonna give up? You're just gonna give up on this because it's hard? Oh, is that your MO? You just give up when it's hard as opposed to trying to convert someone who doesn't want to love us? And she fucking falls for it too.
Yeah, she's like, maybe I would like the challenge of converting him. Take him to the conversion area. But he
Martin, that's okay.
Yeah,
which is
Martin,
blonde.
Martin,
He is
Blondie.
This is where I think there's like a bigger plot line that if the show had been made into any sort of coherent series, it might have made sense. But I think the final battle and then the children of Dune /V, like all of that shit just goes off the rails, where it's like we kind of get that there's Martin spills the tea. So we get a little bit of like clarity here.
Yeah.
That in fact they were after the water. Water is Earth's most precious, second most precious resource. Water's first most precious resource are people.
People, because they'll be food. But here's the thing. You just skipped ahead like 45 minutes. Like we don't even learn, but it's fine. I'm just saying that like this show, from the point when he gets back on the ship, Mike goes back and forth between these ships like 5 times. Yeah. It's just nonstop. But yeah, he will learn that what they're doing is, what Martin is revealing is this. Yeah, they're taking all of our water. They're going to leave the Earth a desert planet. They're not even going to leave people to die on Earth. They're going to take everyone and either convert them to food or soldiers to fight in their bigger war against
because
this
they have an enemy.
They have an enemy, and it's like, oh, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
But
and Martin's like, maybe. I don't
apparently
think so,
they turn out to be even worse than the visitors.
I would think so. That seems logically the way to go. It's like when in Game of Thrones, when Joffrey dies and you're like, we're safe. Oh, absolutely not.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No, absolutely. No.
So Mike says, listen, this is all part of the plan. I'm going to help you out. He sends her back into the room with sexy Barbara, who takes off her uniform just in her bra and panties. And which my first thought here was, oh, they made human skin suits for the whole iguana body.
I know, right?
I thought the reason they had the suits on
is to cover.
So they only had to do the face makeup.
Yeah.
But she strips down, so we get some TNA, gives him the thing and says, now shoot me. He's like, will it kill you? I hope not. And he shoots her in the belly, and then he kisses her on her head and says, thank you. Sexy.
And he manages to escape, but he gets picked up because the resistance, led by Elias, they're out cruising the streets, and they want to pick up a visitor so that way, like, any sciencing could be done on the visitor's skin cells and figure out what they look like underneath there. But they accidentally pick up Mike, and it's a little bit of like dick measuring contest between Mike and Julie.
Yeah.
Which goes on for a minute too long, but eventually, long story short, he joins the resistance.
Yeah.
Julie is the boss bitch of this pod of the resistance.
Yes. And she knows who he is, but doesn't trust him, and she, whatever. So it's a lot of, we got to build trust or whatever. I love that they give a sciencey explanation as to like, oh, maybe they're not from another planet. Maybe they're from here because there were lizards who ruled the Earth, and when the meteor hit with iridium, it killed all of them that were too weak to live, but the real ones lived underground. I'm like, you are getting into some crazy anti-Semitic shit, my man. When you start talking about lizard people,
I know they're like, like I did this ayahuasca, and this is what Mother Ayahuasca told me, so it must be true. And you're like, what?
George Soros. I was waiting for him to bring up George Soros.
George Soros and Hillary Clinton are the two controlled media, and we're like, okay,
okay, Mr. Maxwell, chill out.
And then they have like a compound at the North Pole, which is where that they've just been awakened after 3 months. They're like, okay, all right, take a breath, touch grass.
So a couple things happen around so they, Elias had secured them this thing in like East LA or
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, kind of like near the LA canals kind of
Yeah, near
vibe
the LA River sort of thing.
to
But
perform their illegal dirty science.
the thing that I find so funny about this is it is a compound full of scientists, and they have like vans that they're unloading
Yeah.
scientific equipment from the
Uh-huh.
thing. Robin is there because the Maxwell family,
Sure.
or Maxwell family, it's confusing. The mother and other two daughters are up in the camp in the mountains.
Yes.
But Mr. Maxwell, Robert, and then his teen daughter Robin are here in East Los Angeles, and Robin just wanders outside the building. She doesn't step more than 5 feet from the building,
right?
and the V's capture her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, did you guys not to look inside where all of these people are unloading shit?
There's
Later,
a couple of moments where the visitors are literally on the front doorstep of a resistance meeting, and multiple people come out, and they're like, "Did you not just see with your no? Oh, okay."
the visitors behave like NPCs in video games,
They
or
really
like the
do,
enemy
don't
characters.
they?
Like they just
Yeah.
work in a pattern,
Yeah.
and as long as you don't get too close to them, they can't see you. Like I'm
Well,
playing the new Zelda game right now, and it's very funny because you'll see like a camp of the whatever the monsters, and you could be within easy sight of them, like shooting arrows and blowing up bombs, but they don't know. They can't
they're like,
tell.
I don't know.
There's
They're
just
lizard people.
but you have to get within a certain diameter of them before they
They're like,
can
oh,
notice
you're
you.
here.
Yes. And that's how
I didn't see you there.
So
So the teenage daughter gets taken.
she gets
then
taken,
he gets taken.
and then later he gets taken, and the visitor captures him. Is like, listen, we will free your daughter Robin if you tell us where the compound is in the hills. And he says, oh shit, but that would give up my family. And the visitor's like, listen, I'm a father too. What if I just told you that the attack is scheduled for 4 o'clock? If you gave up that thing, you could get your family out of there beforehand.
But don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anyone. Just go get your family and get them out. And he's like, okay, I'll do that.
Which again, we know his moral compass is a little shakier than his father's.
Yeah. Well, no, this is Mr. Maxwell. This isn't Stanley.
Oh shit! God damn it! You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So this, well, it's yeah. So Robert says, okay, fine. All right. So now we have this convoluted scene of Diana and puppy dog Brian on the ship.
Oh my god! Welcome to the soap opera.
Well, and the thing is, she's like, it's come to my attention you have this relationship with this girl, this human girl. Is she pretty to you? And he's like, not as pretty as you, Diana.
Oh, well,
but anything
listen,
to be of
I'm
service.
Wonder Woman, so obviously.
Yeah. So
she's evil Wonder Woman. Sorry.
She's like, I want your help with an unusual medical experiment between you and her, which is essentially he goes in there and they start making out. He and Robin start making out. So I'm like, oh, the medical experiment is impregnate the prisoner.
Yes.
That's impregnate the teenage prisoner.
We've got rape, we're pillaging, we're burning, rape, pillage, burn, rape, pillage, burn.
Yep.
Eating babies. We don't see any babies eaten, but
no.
But it's pretty much like the standard playlist.
So now we've got the humans fighting back, and they've set time bombs on the refinery.
Yeah.
It's blowing up the whole thing. Human terrorists have attacked us.
And it is literally like, Jeffrey, it is like a clock stuck into a stick of like straight from the Warner Brothers cartoon shop.
Yes.
Bomb.
This is also where, because this is Julie's resistance group, right? Through scientific. So we've got the people up in the hills, they're doing science. Whereas Julie's group is doing some science, but they're more like, we're revolutionaries. We got to get the videotape of the lizard people to the world so they'll fight with us. We got to steal weapons, blah, blah, blah.
We got to grow our numbers. Yeah, we got to fight back.
This is where Ruth. Okay, this is Ruth. The other lady, so Ruth is
Molotov cocktail.
She's the one with the white hair bowl cut.
Yeah.
And she throws the Molotov cocktail into a ship. They go to Julie and them go to the warehouse, steal some guns, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We learn that back on the ship, because Mike is back and forth, back on the mothership, we find out that Tony died.
Yeah.
Because he sees Tony's body.
Yep.
But Sancho is still there. He's all beat up, like he's been tortured.
Yeah. But he says that he like fought with the Zapata.
Yeah, he fought with Zapata. Yeah, he fought
And he's
with
like,
the
I didn't say
Generalissimo.
nothing.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, dude, you hard as fuck.
Yeah. Um, so Mike, Sancho, and
Yeah.
somehow Robin
Yeah.
get on board a ship to fly out. They get seen, so they get followed by two other ships, and we get just TIE fighter fight. That's
It
what
is
we have.
totally TIE fighter. Like it is pew 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 in space, but like now they're like riding around like fucking Malibu and shit.
Yeah.
Like it's like the Santa Monica Pier. I
Yeah.
was like, I guess we'll lose them in Topanga Canyon, you know?
Yeah, it's so great, and it's
Here's the thing, Jeffrey.
air fight. Yeah.
Why I found all of this so gleeful. It took me back to an era of Aaron Spelling television.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when that name was a style, and that style of television was this like, you know, very glamorous, over the top, money envy, power envy, lifestyles of the rich and famous kind of television, in which everything was Los Angeles based.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
because it was cheaper.
Mhm.
You know, like, I love it. It's so stupidly glamorous.
It's wonderful. It's so I mean, this is also from our childhoods in the 80s
Yes.
too, right? And so
Yeah.
there's a style and a look to TV from that time period, from like 82 to 92, that all kind of, all the way up to Beverly Hills 90210, right?
Yep.
Like that's Aaron Spelling, right?
Yeah.
And so we we have, I love this firefight or laser fight in the skies, because it does, remember in Star Wars, it
like
keeps
full of
cutting
them.
back to Darth Vader looking dead-eyed in his TIE fighter looking thing, and his hand on the button, the joystick that he fires with. And that's what they keep doing. They keep cutting back to this dead-eyed visitor commander.
And I think it's Diana number 2, right?
No.
Or is that a later fight?
It's a later fight. So what happens is two ships fly after Mike and Sancho.
Yep.
They blow one up,
Yep.
right? And the second one is this dead-eyed commander chasing them. This goes full Wile E. Coyote, because Mike puts on his lucky Dodgers cap. Speaking of Los Angeles, he's like, I'll need a little bit of luck, but he flies into a tunnel. In the middle of the desert.
Right in front of a truck, if I remember correctly.
And then dead-eyed captain doesn't see this cliffside and just flies right into it like fucking,
or doesn't understand what tunnels are. Now, at this point, I was like, as someone who has shared a Sprinter van all across America with you, Jeffrey, I was like, how did he know the width of that fucking alien spaceship?
Nope, he didn't. That's why he put on the lucky Dodgers cap.
Because there were moments when you are driving large and tall and wide vehicles in which you're like, if we try to go under that bridge, we might lose the top of our car.
Yeah, absolutely. So Robert Maxwell has left the firefight of Julie's group early, because he's like, I got to get to the mountain camp, because I got to save my wife and other two daughters.
And also, like, Julie's, like, they're doing actually really good.
They're doing fine.
They're sieging, they're collecting guns. It's great.
So he steals a Jeep, makes his way up there, and he's looking at his watch, and it's like 2:53. He's like, I'm making awesome time. But suddenly 3 or 4 of these ships are flying over, and he sees them opening fire on the campground. He's like, no, it's not 4. You lied. And cut to, this is where Diana is in the spaceship with the visitor who made the deal with Robert Maxwell earlier.
Because they really want this compound of mountain scientists to convert them. Or just to kill them,
or to kill them, or do whatever. Like, they want to blow up their thing. But here comes, as this firefight is happening, there's bloodshed. Julie et al. Show up, and they've got M16s. They've got bazookas, which is, remember we've talked about this
like
before.
Land-to-air missiles.
What are the 80s? There's so many wonderful like 80s tropes and devices. Quicksand is one.
Oh, yeah.
And bazookas are another. Like the idea of just fighting with bazookas.
And the third are nunchucks. That's the one that I'm like, why does nobody use nunchucks anymore? Why does nobody use bazookas anymore? And the woman working that bazooka gun is really good at it.
She's very good at it. Yeah.
She takes out like two, like it's so funny. Like they all have selective aim sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a moment in which I was like, okay, this night of television watching for this podcast is complete, because remember back in the beginning, back in El Salvador, there was the freedom fighter who literally just like, he's like, oh, you cameramen better step back, and just has like a fucking pistol, and a helicopter is coming at him, doesn't budge, and just goes pow, 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 and shoots down a helicopter. Julie does this exact move.
Yes.
From the beginning.
Yeah, it's really, that's a great point. I didn't piece those two things, but you're right. Yeah, we're hearing here at the end of episode 2, mirroring the beginning of episode 1. Unlike the freedom fighter, the El Salvadoran freedom fighter, she doesn't land a hit on the spaceship because it turns back around.
Oh, yeah.
To come back for her, and Diana's like, I want her. Go back again. And make sure you take care of her.
You're like, oh, yes, bitch.
But from out of nowhere comes another ship, and it is piloted by Mike and Sancho, and they open fire on Diana's ship and blows a hole in the side, and she's like, well, never mind, back to the mothership. Bye. So
much rejoicing on the moon of Endor.
Yes,
there's Ewoks everywhere.
Totally.
The Ents are dead. I don't fucking know. Whatever.
Yeah.
The Ats are gone.
That's right. So in the aftermath of all of this, Mrs. Maxwell is deathly injured, and we kind of get, here's a great other 80s action trope, which is dying in your arms. You get a couple final words, and then you just slump and close your eyes.
Yeah, like literally have the X's over your eyes after that. I think you also get the daughter. This is not before the daughter is just standing in front of a mirror somewhere, looking at her belly.
Well, yeah, she does that. Not somewhere, she's there, remember, because she's on Mike's ship. So when mom dies,
that's sort of the aftermath. Yeah. Like right after this,
because Robin shows up and she's a different person. She's like, she's talking to the other two girls, like, brush your teeth, let's get to bed, everything's gonna be fine.
That's right.
And they're like, oh, you're talking like mom. She's like, it's fine. And that's kind of a normal thing, right? Like the oldest kid in the death of a family member might kind of step up and do a thing, and that's what she's doing. But that's where, as the kids are getting ready for bed, you just see Robin rubbing her belly in front of the mirror.
You're gonna have a lizard baby.
Oh.
I wonder if it's gonna be an egg.
I would love that.
Egg
I don't
live
know.
birth. What do you think? I don't know.
I don't know that I'll watch any more of this series.
Oh, no,
forward,
absolutely not. We have reached our finish with V.
Yes. Which is not to take anything away from it, because I adored watching every second of this.
No, this was 3 perfect hours of Aaron Spelling style TV.
It's the perfect vacation, right? You reach like day 6 of your vacation to Athens or whatever, and you're like, I've had such a blast. I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. This movie is the
I've learned how to reappreciate a hamburger by not having it for a while. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of these kind of like, it's this, to make another Star Wars comparison, this second episode is very similar to Empire Strikes Back. Like there's a lot more questions than answers at the end. A lot of injuries and casualties.
A lot of are they dead? Aren't they? Did they just go down in flames? A lot of missing characters that were like, are they in processing? Are they gone?
Yeah. And we have some debates here. Like Mike and Julie are now arguing about what to do with the future of this war. And Julie has really taken charge, and she's like, we will do our best to save the people in that ship. And he's like, we can't just say we'll try. We have to save them. She's like, listen, dude, there are casualties in war. We are at war.
Yeah. And if they bring a couple thousand people up to those ships, but if we take down those ships with a couple thousand people and it saves literally everyone on Earth.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah. Later, Mike has this talk with his mom.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Like,
okay.
And she's like, we can't keep fighting them. They're in power. And he's like, there was a woman who taught me right from wrong. I wonder whatever happened to her. Snap, snap, snap.
Yeah, right.
He runs out the door. Yeah. Okay. So kind of our final big scene is Robert Maxwell showing back up at the Rubenstein's house.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I keep saying Rubenstein.
Bernstein.
Because I'm racist. It is
It's because you're
Bernstein. I'm
racist.
sorry. Um, they show back up at the Bernstein's house, and he's like, "We need a place to hide because they've already looked here. They won't look here again. They had been returned under the promise that you will warn everyone else.
Yep. Yeah,
If
they
you do
think we're
this again,
informers now. They
you're
think we're on the payroll, which is
yeah."
now the perfect time to subvert. Like, no, we're good, 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 good. Don't look in our closets.
But uh, Lynn Bernstein is like, the wife is like, absolutely not. We're not.
Yeah,
We've already been through this. They will kill us.
yeah,
And Stanley, who's the one this whole show has been like, it's fine, it's fine. We can't resist, whatever. He stands up. He walks to the end table because we don't hear exactly what happened to him, but we know
yeah,
Abraham's dead.
yeah.
And he goes and gets a letter. He's like, my father, it's the last thing he wrote. Will you read it out loud? And she does. And it's this whole sobbing monologue from actress Bonnie Bartlett. Gives a tearful performance here. But it is like, you got to stand,
Yeah.
take a stand for what's right. He talks about I wish I had my own wife's dignity and
Yes.
strength in her death. And we have to fight darkness. And he also says, you know, you have to know which side you're on and you have to fight for it. And your mother and I in memory will march on beside you. And then he says the line, our spirits will be with you always. And I wrote down, remember, the force will be with you always.
Always.
It's the same sentence, just
remember.
Oh my God. So that's where we land. We got a couple of final beats from Julie and Elias. So they're doing my job. This is my job in the sci-fi canon, which is I'm going to send comms into space.
Yep, that's right.
Because we need the bads to come for the current bads. We need the bads to help us with the bads.
Yes. So they just put like some loop on thing being like, aliens landed, help.
Yeah.
They are lizards, want to eat us, help.
Yeah, please come help us.
Put that on loop for 30 years.
And then the last thing we see is Elias spray painting a V on the door, and Julie does a proud nod. Yes.
Yes.
And then we get this Russian sounding anthem playing, and it's credits.
Ridiculous.
Shall we rate this mini-series?
Yes, please.
All right. So on the Sasha scale, squeamish approachability scale, for the horror averse, like if you are like I was at one time in super horror movie averse, how approachable is this? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all approachable and 10 being like easily approachable, like I'll give the original V miniseries 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 out of 10 mothership keys. Like it's real easy. I don't know. It's TV drama. Like it does have like the man who loses his arm. It does have like people peeling off human skin to reveal lizard skin, but the special effects are real by today's standards, real corny. If
you have seen an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, you can make it through this.
Honestly, this is no harder than Star Trek TNG. Yeah. So that's where I am with this, but obviously like content/trigger warnings for the fact that there is prisoner sexual abuse impregnating a teenage girl as a scientific experiment. The whole lizard people trope. There's a moment of considering suicide by gun, and then whatever level of TV blood and gore. But that's what that is. So I could probably go higher, but let's say 8 out of 10. This is super approachable, and worth a watch. It is fun as shit, and it's stupid as shit. Had a great time. Cecil, what do you think as a horror film-ish quote?
In the horror canon, this is 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, I was so pleasantly surprised at how delightfully brainless and yet also kind of, it's a Holocaust orgasm, so it's like important but also somehow not important because the writing and the costumes are all so Dallas Dynasty era TV making. It's a blast, total blast. I'm so glad we went there. 8 out of 10 eaten guinea pigs.
Let's figure out what we're going to watch next. You have a scare die, I have a style die. We'll roll those dice and see what movie matches these two things. So, Cecil, if you roll a 1, our next scare is animal. 2, vampire. 3, a lady killer. 4, creepy children. 5, evil science. 6, wild card. Whatever scare we want. What you got?
That's a 1. Aminals.
Aminals. We're gonna match your animal with whatever I roll on the style die. If I roll a 1, our next horror film is sexy. 2, action fantasy, kind of what we did this week. 3, a black and white film. 4, something with a good daytime scare. 5, New York, New York. Or 6, 75th percentile, something 75% or higher on the aggregator site. So what do I got rolled here? I have a 3, black and white animal.
Nice.
Okay, so let me have you. This movie was so plot heavy that I've done so much talking this episode. I would like for you to lead our charge of what kind of animal black and white movies we got.
I will as soon as I find the list.
Oh my god.
Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Oh, here we go. Okay, what do we have on this list right here? Black and white, The Birds. The Birds isn't black and white.
It's not? I put that on here.
The Birds is in color.
The Birds is in color. God damn it.
The Birds is good effort, Jeffrey. Good effort. I like where your brain's at. But
you know what's funny is because I did a quick search and then clicked on and the first few images that show up are black and white, but that's just promo stills. That's not. And so now I'm scrolling down and I
have seen this film and I distinctly remember San Francisco in full color out in Steinbeck country.
Oh, damn. I thought I'd really nailed a perfect one here. I was like, oh, Birds is going to be great.
Close, but no cigar. However, The Fly 1958 is definitely black and white, and I've never seen this one. Or if I have, I think I've seen like clips from it, but I've never watched the whole film. So excited about that. Then we have another movie. This is one of my favorites, one of the reasons why I think this horror movie podcast should exist. As in, this is a gem called Them.
This is Giant Ants, right?
Giant Ants. Also starring a young and very awesome Leonard Nimoy.
Whoa, okay. All right.
Yeah. Let's see. We also have something called The Devil Bat from 1940.
I have a question though. What is it about?
What is it about? It's a metaphor for, I don't know, systemic racism or something.
This is a thesis horror. Yeah.
That's right. This is what happens when Cecil gets stoned and starts Googling for this show. The Devil Bat just looks so dumb. And also a good time. But it's got Bela Lugosi in it.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. This looks ridiculous.
Yeah, it looks absolutely silly and looks fun.
What else do we have? Now, here's another one. This is definitely on, if you look up this is Cat People 1942. Now, Cat People is one of those films that not only influenced a lot of other horror movies, but is legit, I think has the very first jump scare in all of cinema history.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of those horror movies. Yes, it's in black and white. Yes, it's from 1942. Awesome movie to this day. Still holds up. Every watching.
Okay. It's the remake that is not so hot, right?
The remake has some really questionable moments.
Okay, great.
What else do we have here? We also have It Came from Beneath the Sea, which is a very classic, I think it's a squid monster.
Okay.
Like aquatic scare, big giant squid going after boats.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a lot of really fun, probably play animation stuff. And then this one, which is, I'm super curious about this, called Murders at the Zoo, which, listen, if you're going to give a title making class, I'm like, What is it about, Jeffrey? I think it's about murders at a zoo. It's New York City Zoo. And I think somebody is feeding dead bodies to the reptiles in order to get rid of them in some sort of weird mafia cover up, something right there.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. These all look fantastic. All right, so let's see what we have on our letterboxed.
There are
Um,
many.
there are
Because
many.
listen, like, here's the thing: in the 1940s and 50s, nature was still terrifying to people in
Yeah.
a very different way than it is terrifying to people now.
So we'll just hit the highlights here, which is Brave Crab comes in with the, and here's the beauty of these suggestions. The plot is in the title, right? So we don't
Yes,
have to stop down wondering what it's about.
you know exactly what the scare is. Great.
Brave Crab came through with Attack of the Giant Leeches.
I'd love to see some giant leeches.
Um, Peter Burt throws out a movie called Lake Michigan Monster.
Okay.
It sounds more modern, more
Yeah.
contemporary. Josh Ludd has The Alligator People, 1959.
Yeesh.
We've got a few suggestions for backups for them and
For
the Devil
them, the
Bat.
devil bat. Yeah.
Strong Ash says Bride of the Monster, which is a killer octopus movie. And there's
The
also
black
Strong
cat. Yeah.
Black Cat, which is an Edgar Allan Poe adaptation. The Cat Girl, The Hound of the Baskervilles, all good ones. The Tingler from M. DeCoste. Is
Yes,
that
the
an
Tingler
animal?
is the Tingler is like a sort of leech looking thing.
Oh, you're right. You're
I've
right.
seen the
Okay.
Tingler and it's a good one. It's
Okay.
really good.
JB Wolf says the birds is in color. Thank you, JB Wolf, for reminding me of pain. But they also threw out
Bart.
cat people. And Diamond Dog says tarantula, 1955. There's
Ooh, I bet
another
that one's gonna
classic
be really
monster
good.
one. Okay,
Oof,
so
that's a lot.
we've got a lot. Now, here's the ones that really stood out to me,
Uh-huh.
which are The Fly, because we
Yeah.
we did see the Cronenberg one. I'd love
Yeah.
to see the Vincent Price original. Them, just this comes up. This is like seminal creature
Yep.
feature. And Cat People.
Yep.
Cat People's a cool hour 13 coming off of
Yeah, I
345.
know,
That
right?
sounds really promising. But Cat People sounds really cool. Also, another historic thing. I don't even think we've ever done a movie from the 1940s for this show. So that's another.
Ever?
But I don't think we've ever hit the
Oh, that's right.
1940s.
They didn't make horror movies. There's like The Seventh Victim, maybe, but that even might be
Yeah.
early 50s.
Yeah, there's not a lot in the. Oh,
Like
we
if
have
we were
done.
making films, they were about like Nazis and killing Nazis, and they were not about vampires and werewolves and shit.
Right. Yeah, there's just not much of that era. I think we've done. Oh, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman was 1943.
Yes.
There you go. Okay,
Oh
so
man,
those were standing out. So was Murders in the Zoo. Those were
Murders in
all.
the Zoo looks really good. Here's the thing. I think I might put my foot down. There's so many. There's a lot that I haven't seen, but I think this is a rare opportunity that we can get some quality seminal horror homework in here. I would say flip a coin between Cat People and Them.
All right, let's do that.
I mean, there's a lot of like I really want to see Attack. I will probably watch Attack of the Giant Leeches on my own.
Yeah,
just for my own enjoyment because it sounds so ludicrous. But really, this original Cat People and Them are both really interesting movies that kind of take an entire generation of filmmaking and then distill it down into its essence and then just give you the essence. So you don't have to read all of the works. You just have to read the anthology kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have a coin here. You want me to flip this coin?
Let's do
so
it.
we'll do well, you said Cat People and Them?
Yeah. I think those are our strongest choices.
Okay, so this is heads, this is Cat People, this is tails, this is them. So let's do a flip, catch. I've got tails, them.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to watch them. That was easy. There's so many good suggestions. Thank you all for all of that. For those on Letterboxd, those are really good. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. And if you have thoughts on V, the original miniseries, or ideas for other movies that would be good animal black and white, let us know on Twitter at randomhorror9 or at Instagram. And watch them from, I believe that is 1954. Watch that with us this week and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no one kicking your ass for winning the science fair or nothing. Boo!
Boo!